This is horribly off topic.
You almost forgot how to start the show.
Did not. Listen, nobody outside of this room would have known until you decided you had to. I was saying before the show, you're being nice to me, and you're like, well, the show hasn't started. Now I know what you mean.
You don't need to yell.
Episode 258. I'm Chris.
I'm Steve.
Man, you were so nice. I should have known
Chris,
it was
you
like
don't have to yell.
It's like a honey pot trap.
No.
Pooh Bear. Winnie the Pooh. One of my favorites. I like that A.A. Milne in his universe of stuffed animal talking characters. I think they're delightful.
And I said to him, Dickie Bird, why do you sit singing?
Yes, and
one of the things that I borrowed from the library back in probably 90, 91, something like that.
Okay.
Was the Muppet Show.
Oh.
It wasn't a record; it was the cassette tape, and I made a copy of it.
Right.
The copy is probably sitting in my tape case at my dad's house, which he refuses to throw out because he won't throw out any of my old shit.
No, because he loves you, and holding on to your old shit is a way that they were taught back in the day to show love for their children, particularly their sons, because there's no other way to show love for your son, like giving them a hug or like being decent. When you were brought up, your dad beat you, and the way that he showed affection for you was to not your dad, their dad.
Yeah, my dad really. I think I got the belt a couple of times when I was younger,
their
but I
dad,
never really got the.
Your dad's dad, my dad's dad, probably at some point beat the shit out of them, and only showed their affection by never throwing out their shit. And so our dads, they're like, well, I didn't like the beaten part, but I liked that my dad never threw out my shit, so I'm going to not throw out my own kid's shit.
So there's a whole bunch of feces just hanging around in a large container.
Oh, yeah. They've been saving our feces along with our toenails and our umbilical cord stump.
See, you just made it fucking really gross.
No, shit meaning like
stuff. I understand.
You say I made it gross, but you're the one who.
I made a joke, and then you were like, "Let's fucking jump right over that fucking fence, right into like, oh, there's like jizz and piss and shit."
I did never say jizz.
Oh yeah, because you didn't jizz at home. I forgot.
Yeah, only on the school bus.
Ew.
So, what were we talking about? Oh, you had a tape of the Muppets.
The Muppet Show album.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a segment of it where Rolf was and Sam, the American Eagle.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Were doing this thing where he was reciting a poem by A.A. Milne.
Okay.
And it was that, and so basically, the Sam's part was to say willow, tit willow, at the end of every line.
So as Rolf was doing most of the recitation.
Yes.
Oh, see, I was thinking Rolf as one of the musicians would be providing.
He was playing the piano as well.
He's providing backup to Sam the Eagle. Would be my first guess. I feel like that would be Sam Eagle would not be rapping necessarily, because I was going to say Sesame Street, but the Muppet Show was probably not that woke at that point. These days,
I don't think there was rapping at that point, because the Muppet Show came out in the early or late 60s, and like
the late 60s,
either late 60s or mid or like early 70s when it started.
Okay.
And I think that's when the album probably originally came out, because it was the original like album, but it was on cassette tape at that point.
Mm-hmm. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, it's the Muppet Show.
I have fond memories of that show. I don't remember like very specific bits, but just the show in general. Yeah.
There's an interesting YouTube series that you'll probably never watch, so I'll explain it to you.
Oh, go ahead.
It's called Defunct Land. Oh,
I've heard about it. I have watched at least an episode on their channel.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's not exclusively about Muppets, right?
No, but they have a lot of. I think the guy that produces a lot of their material is very much into the Muppets or Jim Henson in general. Right, so he has a lot of the episodes about the Muppets and and whatnot. And so I think I watched an extensive amount one day when Becky was away. So I'm just like lounging and just getting sucked into the YouTube hole.
Sucked up. Oh gosh, that's a bad hole to get sucked up into. They don't clean that hole up very well.
No. I mean, except, they don't like getting rid of Nazis, but, people that are trying to make a profit on it.
I mean, and they want you to be specific these days if your part of the YouTube hole is kid friendly. That's a big thing.
So we don't have to do that because we are not kid friendly.
I just checked the box that said we are never kid friendly. None of these episodes, because
there was maybe one that the time your daughter was listening that we tried to be kid friendly, and I think we might have achieved it. But who knows what fucking episode that was?
Yeah, no, So I mean, I started this off as kind of a joke, but it's true. YouTube has been, and YouTube creators have been dealing with this a lot. They are trying to adhere. It's COPPA, I think, COPPA, that they're trying to adhere to. So they sent out a note to everybody who has a YouTube channel. So us, and I have an old one of my own. That one was more of a problem because some of that one is Easter videos, which are kid appropriate. And then other ones are absolutely not kid appropriate. So I'm at the point where I think I did it all right, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to take down that whole channel because I don't want to get sued or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Easter. I mean, Jesus might sue you.
That's possible. No, I mean,
it was the day I died. Could you not put videos online of me? You motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jesus. I will stop doing that. I've been trying to stop.
The day I died, or was it the day he came back?
Easter's the day he came back.
Oh. Yeah. It was the day I came back for me's sake.
Can I write? I'm gonna write for me's sake. I think that's an early contender. Muppets.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure it's not a whatever episode of Defunct Land I watched was not a Muppets one, but the Muppets thing, and I don't want to go too far down the Disney rabbit hole because
well, Muppets are attached to Disney at this point,
right? Well, and by Disney rabbit hole I mean I think I don't know if I came right out and said it, but I was going to last time I recorded, and now I have been to Disney World, and one of the parks
in Orlando, Florida.
Well, it's in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Anyway, so
you know what I think we should do with that swampland? Build a theme park on it.
I think that's not a bad idea. There, sarcastic Steve. I have a whole lot I could say about the vacation, but I just wanted to bring up the
that theme park sank into the swamp, so we built another one. That one burned down, fell over, then sank into the swamp. But the last theme park, stood.
Okay. I'm gonna turn you down just a touch because it's got to be like a touch, not a smidge. This touch is okay. All right. I think that's good because it's peaking here and there, and I don't want you to be softer than me. We all know that's a problem, but I also don't want to.
Everybody knows I'm very hard, Chris.
Okay. The Muppets.
Often through the very show while watching Muppets. The Muppet Show, not Muppet Babies. That would be weird.
Muppet Babies, they'll make our dreams come true.
You're a little raspy there, fella.
A little bit, yeah. I was not prepared to. I did not warm up. So there are 4 theme parks in the Walt Disney World Resort.
Which one burned down, sank, and fell over, and then sank into the swamp?
I'm trying to make this a quick digression so that we can.
No, we can talk about.
So that we can cordial argument. Cordial about Star Wars. That we can do that, but. You keep that. I'm just trying to tell you something about the Muppets and the guy from Defunct Land.
All right, let's do some Muppets in Defunct Land. Okay. And so you were at one of the 4.
So one of the 4 parks is called Hollywood Studios. Originally Disney's MGM Studios. It's gone through a lot of changes over the years. One of the more recent changes was they gutted the back part of the back part of the theme park, which had been the sort of behind the scenes tour and all sorts of stuff like that. And they also expanded beyond that, and they created a new Star Wars centric land called Galaxy's Edge. And before
which
that,
I made an amazing joke when it first launched.
I can't remember what was the joke. I can't remember.
It's like you sit around and almost watch Star Wars.
Yes.
or something like that.
Yes. So anyway, and then Toy Story Land, right, sort of adjacent to that. Now, when they sort of did that development, one of the parts of the park that they disrupted a lot was the part right near where they have the Muppets attraction, which is a 3D movie inside a building that has an amazing Miss Piggy fountain out front, where she's dressed like the Statue of Liberty, and it's sort of a water fountain.
Where's the water coming out of her?
I don't think it's coming out of her. It's coming out around her. I don't think they got that risque and sort of.
Oh, Kermie.
But so that, and next to the Muppets attraction, there is a restaurant called Pizza Rizzo, which is all themed around Rizzo the Rat, and he's running the pizza place. And there's a Little Muppets gift shop and what have you. Here's why I wanted to bring it up. So that is right outside the entrance to the land where you almost watch Star Wars.
Okay.
Right? And on the other side of it is what was the existing Star Wars attraction. So you've got, all right, so if you picture the Muppets thing in the middle, to the north of it.
Wasn't that a show on Fox, Muppets in the Middle?
Muppets. It should be. Although it wouldn't be on Fox anymore.
Frankie Muses.
It'd be on ABC or Disney Plus. Probably Disney Plus at this point. So, to the top of it, you've got Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. To the bottom of it, I should just say north and south, you've got the old Star Wars attraction called Star Tours, which has been there for ages and ages. Now, Muppets fans are justly worried that, given that Muppets attraction is the only thing standing between connecting the old Star Wars ride and the whole brand new Star Wars section, that they might eventually do away with the Muppets and just sort of extend the Star Wars thing outward. And I think it would be a shame, because I think that my kids loved that Muppets. They know the Muppets. They haven't had a tremendous amount of exposure to them, but that Muppets 3D movie is.
Have they seen the original Muppet movie?
That might have to go on the list of things we need to show them. I don't think. I
think that is definitely a must watch.
Yeah, is that what you like? That one? That's definitely better than Take Manhattan?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely my favorite. It's the one I watched the most because we taped it off the Movie Loft, off of TV 38,
right?
WSPK.
Yeah.
With Gene Levanchi.
And it's been too long since I've seen it, so I'm gonna have to track that down. And so they haven't seen that. They know the Muppet Babies. They know the Muppets in general, aside from the Muppet Babies. So it's not like they were unfamiliar, but I think they really dug that attraction. And it's not just a 3D movie, because it's the Muppets. They're testing their 3D lab, and oh gosh, my Muppets lore is leaving me. Spoilers for the Muppet 3D experience, or whatever it's called.
Who the fuck is concerned about that?
Anyway, so
if there's anybody listening that's concerned about that, please, by all means, send us an email, hot at horriblyofftopic.com, or hard at clarkwoods.com, and tell us please, in great detail, why you would be offended that
if I started spoiling,
somebody spoiled a ride for you.
Okay, listen, if I started spoiling the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance ride, I guarantee you there's somebody out there, maybe it's only one person, who likes theme parks.
They spoiled the amusement park ride.
It
went up and then down.
God. It is one of the most amazing things I've ever been on. So anyway,
the Muppets ride?
No, the Star Wars ride that I'm not going to spoil. But the Muppets thing is 3D movie. There's the big brown hairy guy.
Chewbacca.
No, in the Muppets, he doesn't say a lot.
Oh, the guy that's like the car sale working at the car lot in the Muppet movie.
Yes, maybe.
I forget what his name is.
Anyway, so he, in the middle of the movie, comes out. A person dressed as that character, and you also have Waldorf and Statler up in the balcony with you, animatronics of them commenting on the movie. It's a great attraction, and I think it would be, anyway, long story short, too late. It would be a shame for them to lose that, Although I think, like Indiana Jones, they don't necessarily know what to do with the Muppets right now. This, I guess, is a place where we could agree about Disney having too much stuff, right? Because I think those are both amazing properties, and they just don't seem to have time to figure out what to do with the Muppets and what to do with Indiana Jones.
They don't have to be a part of a theme park. They could just make a TV show and put it on DVD.
I'm saying
Plus,
yeah,
and not on ABC because that'll fail.
When I'm saying I'm saying part of the bigger, not just the theme parks. This is the bigger thing. I think if they knew what to do with the Muppets on TV or in the movies or whatever, that would probably solve the theme park problem. I'm not really, that worried about it. But if they continue to be like, we don't know what the hell to do with the Muppets, then I don't want to see the Muppets fade away. I think the Muppets are amazing, and they need to find a way to keep doing something.
I think the only way the Muppets were able to hit a decent stride post Jim Henson was in film.
Right.
Like television, it just wasn't working. Like they did the Muppet Christmas Carol, which Becky loves. I'm like okay with.
Right.
And then I think Treasure Island they did.
Yeah.
Which
was Muppets also in Space post Henson, or was that?
Yeah, I think that was definitely. I think that was one of the
last ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the ones with that Jason Segel did, I
right.
think were good too.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. There was two of them, right? I didn't see. I think
there
were
two. Yeah, there was the Muppets and then Muppets Most Wanted.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I didn't see.
I don't think anybody did.
Either of them all the way through.
But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do it again, I think maybe taking an IP like a Treasure Island or something like that, like and like Muppetizing it, I think is something where they've won before, and maybe
that's a good point.
What am I? Disney, pay me, you fuckers! You can't figure out what to do with the Muppets. I just told you.
Well, it's funny you say that now that you're reminding me that one of the things they apparently.
I mean, you had Reddit write your new Star Wars movie. Why the fuck wouldn't you have me?
Oh boy. Okay. I want to get through the Muppets before before you make me very angry. So. What you reminded me of is one of the more recent things they did in the theme parks is there's a part of the Magic Kingdom there in Florida called Liberty Square. And right around the area where the Hall of Presidents is, where a lot of people don't really want to go into anymore because
Trump's there.
Yeah, because Trump is there. One of the hallmarks of the Hall of Presidents is the yes, Abraham Lincoln always speaks. There's a couple others who always speak, but the current president also always speaks. Until he's out of office,
did they find something that wasn't a some sort of dipshittery that he said that was sort of almost intelligent?
I don't know, because I used to really like it was not my favorite ride, but I used to like the attraction, and I can't bring myself to eat. We didn't go in, and I couldn't bring myself to like go on YouTube and see. I'm sure somebody's recorded it. So I don't know.
Disney would have taken it down.
I don't know what they got of. Oh no, they've gotten very good, bad. They don't care about videos of rides and stuff being up. In fact, YouTubers are a big part of their media strategy now. So YouTubers, along with the news media, are invited to every new major ride attraction, so that they can kind of control when the first videos and stuff of the attractions come out. They're by people with good cameras who know what they're doing, as opposed to the first few people in line shooting it on their cell phone with a shaky hand. So anyway, I'm sure that there is a video of what the animatronic of Donald Trump says, but I don't know. At any rate, around there...
Probably just says, hello.
I fucking hope so. I fucking hope it's just...
Well, we can't find anything without him being a fucking abject moron, so let's just have him say hello to everyone.
Have him say hello, sit down, and let Abraham Lincoln speak. Yeah. Like, just leave it at that.
Hello, I'm the current president.
Yeah, don't even say his name. Apparently, there was a big controversy when that animatronic was installed, that people took high-res photos of it and picked apart and showed how it's basically just them having re-sculpted the Hillary Clinton animatronic they must have been working on. That it looks so bad and so unlike, I mean, he looks bad, but it looks so bad that it's like, that looks like probably where they added jowls and whatever to Anyway, my point being, around that attraction.
Well, I'm glad they didn't put a lot of effort into him.
As part of the, the activity to try and keep interest in that area, they did a thing called, it's something like the Muppets Talk History. And so Sam the Eagle and various other Muppet, and they were these
are Muppet. Is that
these
the
are not
plural?
animatronics. Yeah, no, so these were.
No, I'm asking.
Puppets.
No, I'm asking if Muppet is the plural as well as the singular, or if it's Muppets.
Muppets.
Oh,
yeah. I misspoke. I'm sorry. So Sam the Eagle and various other Muppets would come out of the windows on the second floor of all the buildings around there, and then tell you stories from American history in the Muppets way. And I didn't get to see it. They weren't running it anymore. But that, to your point, might be a good way in which they could. I don't know. Can they stretch that out into a feature film? Because I think you're right. That's where they've found success. The TV shows don't seem to work. But can they take an idea that's kind of that small and make it?
We tried watching the most recent TV show, and it was like The Office meets the Muppets kind of. Yeah. And it was just like because I think Piggy was a late night talk show host.
Okay.
And like Kermit was her producer, and like it was just, and it was mostly behind the scenes stuff. And it, like because they did one in the, I think, late 90s.
I think so. Yep.
And it was similar to the original, but it still didn't really hit that. Yeah. Because having it, because the original Muppet Show there was behind the scenes stuff, but they did go on on stage and like have the segments, like, you actually saw them in their entirety. It wasn't just like Piggy talking to some celebrity for 5 seconds and then Kermit being like, oh, I can't believe I broke up with Piggy.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they'll figure it out eventually, but it does seem to me that at some level they've got to be resource constrained because they've got so many amazing properties.
Amazeballs is what people like to say.
So many Amazeballs properties, including, I guess we should probably head in the direction of where we were going to talk, including the Star Wars. Disney owns the Star Wars and have done for a number of years now. They have produced and now concluded the sequel trilogy. And they've put out a TV show, and I think we're going to talk about both of them, right?
Sure.
So should we say spoilers?
Let's just
fuck out.
Like, if you haven't seen the new Star Wars movie, I don't imagine you're intending on doing it. So you don't give a shit. As far as the Mandalorian, we will wait till after we finish talking about the movie to talk about that, if people are interested in that. And then
all right, so we're gonna talk episode 9 first,
because of the two of them, I would recommend the Mandalorian more.
I don't know that I would. Well, I'd recommend the Mandalorian more right now because the only way you could see the other one, if you didn't want to go to the theater, is to download a illegal something of it. So I would definitely right now, if you're looking to enjoy one of them in the comfort of your own home, The Mandalorian is what I recommend because there's no way. It's
the only one you can at this point, but you can it's
still in the theater.
We were at Jordan's on Friday, like the one in Reading, and it's the movie that is still playing at the IMAX.
Now, were you at Jordan's to look at furniture, or were you at Jordan's to watch a different movie?
We were at Jordan's to get Fuddruckers and then look at furniture because our couch is garbage right now.
Okay, got it. So yes, Star Wars, and I think we've alluded to the fact that maybe there's a difference in opinion, but we haven't had a lot of time to talk, and I guess this speaks to how it's been a big long break between episodes. I think so. When I don't have the date.
I don't know if I had seen it.
Yeah.
Yet before or when we last recorded,
and I'm trying to remember if I had seen it.
I think you saw it a couple of days before.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I saw it. So it came out the week before Christmas,
something like that. And
I had I'd work on the Friday, to work on the Thursday. Saturday was a family party. Sunday we went, And did you and I record on that Monday?
I don't know.
Anyway,
but we haven't talked about it.
We haven't talked about it. But we haven't talked about it on the show. We also haven't really talked about it in person. I got your take on it and a hint of Becky's take on it via text.
Yeah, Becky was definitely less favorable than me, and I'm giving it a slight benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Whereas I think I'm coming from the angle of having enjoyed it quite a bit and understanding but not quite understanding the hatred in the same way that I understand but don't quite understand the hatred of The Last Jedi. And I should preface the conversation by saying I'll share the anecdote, but just in the context of you and I obviously have been friends for a very, very long time. Right. So my reaction at the end of this anecdote is not something that is going to happen between us because we have a difference in opinion. It's just something that happened because the person involved in this anecdote is not somebody I've known for a very long time.
Is this somebody online or?
Yeah, somebody online. So I had been reading I'd been reading a book by and watching videos by this author, Chris Fox. And I'm not ashamed. Everything that I'm about to share here, he shared publicly. So it's not, I don't feel ashamed saying his name. And I'm not really going to shit on him. I have a very strong...
Good. I mean, unless he's into that.
Yeah, I have a very strong difference of opinion on something that he said. But so I've been reading one of his books called Right to Market and watching a lot of his videos. He's a fairly successful independent author. And I've gone back and forth on him over the years, so I've already kind of have this. I don't know if I like this guy or don't like this guy. So he sends this newsletter out, and I think I got the newsletter while I was at the airport waiting to go to Disney World, and my flight was delayed. So I was not in the best of moods. Maybe it was later. I don't know.
So maybe you shouldn't read shit while you're at the airport. You should get a Nintendo Switch.
Maybe this is exactly when I should read shit because, and we'll talk about my vacation and some big...
all I ever wanted.
Big sort of revelations that came out of that for me at some point. But
blah, 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 blah.
This guy...
That's a joke just for Becky.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to shut up? Should I shut up?
No, it's fine. Okay. See, this is what we do. You say you talk for a while. I make jokes.
So I'm reading Chris Fox's newsletter, and he kind of starts to try and prepare people like me for what he's about to say. And then he says it, and I was so angry that I closed I unsubscribed from his email list, closed the email, deleted his book from my I was done. I don't need any more of this kind of person in my life. And so his take was
it a hot take?
It feels like a hot take to me. I have all sorts of theories about hatred for these movies that I can't prove, so I don't really want to get into it without having more evidence to back me up. But I feel like a lot of the takes on these movies are hot takes that people have just adopted as their own personal philosophy, and they have not really examined them. At any rate, Chris Fox's take was essentially this is how I read it. If you liked The Last Jedi, you are not a real Star Wars fan. His take was there is no way you could like that movie and be a real Star Wars fan. And he goes on, he's like, you know what? There are plenty of people out there who like these things, but they're not fans, right? And he enumerates the ways in which like you might like something, but you're not a fan. You're not a fan like we are. We, the real fans, were offended on such a deep level that I'm not going to go to the Star Wars theme park. I'm not going to watch this next movie when it comes out. I'm not even sure I'm going to watch The Mandalorian, but I might give that one the benefit of the doubt at some point.
All right, well, he's just being a shithead.
But he is indicative and representative of an entire part of this corrosive part of fan culture that I just... I wanted to come right out and say, fuck you to the guy. Like, I was so bitter. Because don't tell me that I'm not a real fucking fan because I enjoy something in a different way than you do. We can agree we can disagree on whether or not the movie is good, but I'm never going to say that you're not a real fan because you didn't like it, or that
you're not a real One Piece fan because you read the original or the official translation that says Zolo instead of Zoro.
It's like just because you and I might disagree, or Becky might have a very different opinion. Like, I'm not going to say that you're not fans. It's fucking anyway. And so I had that in the back of my mind.
The thing is with like The Last Jedi, or wait, which one?
Last Jedi was the previous one. So I don't think he had not even seen and had no plans on seeing Episode 9 because his hot take was basically that the storytellers of Episode 8 paid no attention to established canon and violated core rules of Star Wars, and I was already kind of
George Lucas did that with Episode 1.
Yeah, anyway. So he had not seen Rise of Skywalker yet. Last Jedi was the previous one, the Rian Johnson.
Yeah, well, that one, I mean, the newer movie made me appreciate it a little bit more.
Okay.
And you know, just to say, I don't think that Rian Johnson is a bad director.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a bad writer. We actually did get to see Knives Out in the meantime and thought it was great.
Oh, that's awesome. Because I still want to see it, so I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, like, I have no problem. I think he was put in a terrible position where I don't think there's anything he could have done.
With the movie or with the reaction to
the movie?
Okay.
I don't think there's anything he could have done because he wanted to, like, you know, I understand where he was coming from. Was with some of the decisions I think the decisions he made. I was not.
Is there a particular? I mean, I know we want to talk about the newer movie, but is there a particular decision that you could point to that most makes you like there? For people who aren't here in the room, like they could hear the noise, but there was kind of like a tensing of the shoulders and like a scrunching up of the face. Is there one particular choice he made that you
I don't know.
And it's okay if there's not. I just want to know.
Like having what's her butt, Laura Dern be the one that sacrifices herself instead of Leia.
Okay.
I think was a bad choice. Because I think Leia sacrificing herself and then maybe Luke sacrificing him or like, you know, doing that shit at the end.
Right.
Both of them like doing that. And so there's like only the one good Jedi left. And then, you know, and then, you know, well, no one could have thought that Carrie Fisher would have passed away in the meantime. But like, but just having that, like, you know, and I don't know. And that's a thing.
Well, that makes me wonder about, I think that's a good point. I haven't, and this is why I like talking to you about it, because you're going to actually bring up the points. I mean, all kidding aside, like there's a lot of snark that goes back and forth, but you'll bring up the points in a way that doesn't make me feel like shit for not having seen them.
Well, I mean, I have like, you know, I have the thought, and like it's funny because like the thoughts that I had on the Mandalorian, like we watched the Half in the Bag on it or whatever review or whatever the fuck the Red Letter Media guys did on it, and you know, usually I'm right on the same page as them, whether or not I'm conscious about it or not.
Right.
So, like, you know, the things that I was saying over the course of the series that I was just kind of like,
Right.
They said exactly the same thing, and I'm like, okay. So, if you want somebody to be critical of something, but also because they're like obviously they made they established a footprint online because they were super critical on the prequels.
Yeah.
And you know, they wouldn't exist as an entity today because without that.
They were super critical and they were
intelligent,
were funny.
Yeah,
they
funny,
were
super critical, but like smart about it. They weren't just like, this sucks and you're dumb for liking it.
And kind of good.
Although they did kind of.
Well, they were. I know that they did kind of, but. And I don't go back and rewatch. I'm not a regular watcher of theirs, and I don't go back and rewatch those things very often. But what I remember about them is them, even if they were kind of like, you're dumb. It was good. It was all good nature. There was no sort of like, we think if it's you're dumb, it's like we think you're dumb, not that like empirically you're dumb. Which the fucking Chris Fox guy is like, empirically you are not a fan if you like The Last Jedi.
And then, like, Becky brought up an article that came out, I think, around the time, maybe, I think it was before we met, but it might have been in 2012 or something like that. I forget. But like, it was basically Star Wars fans don't like Star Wars.
Oh, and they don't. I challenge you to find. I mean, a lot of the same shit that they complain about. I'm sure that if they were the age that they are now and saw Empire, they would have fucking complained about it. I guarantee it. They're not. They saw Empire at a different time. They look up to Empire as if it's the be all and end all of the entire series, and it's a great movie. I'm not. It probably is the best one of the 9, but I think I really am willing to bet that 100-something years from now, that
when there's nothing left of this planet.
That so maybe thousands, millions of years from now, when some alien species is able to access all of the media ever generated on this now dead, exploded planet, that they will look at the Last Jedi and put it up there with Empire. I really do. I think it serves. I
don't know. I should definitely rewatch it. Just the thing that bothered Becky the most. Was when they're on the planet, the mining planet.
Okay. Yep.
And the guy like tastes the ore and goes, "It's salt." Yeah, but she was so mad about that. She's like, "Why the fuck did that need to happen?"
There are so many moments in every one of these fucking movies where it's just like, that is so fucking dumb.
They fly now.
It's dumb, but you know what? All of the movies are dumb. It's a dumb space opera, and anyway, and they're not dumb. Also,
well, the
I wanted to. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I wanted
but
to
like
wrap up
to
the
go
Last Jedi stuff.
Yeah. So the Rise of Skywalker. The things that I liked about it were
your Laura Dern thing. I just wanted to wrap that up before we talk about Rise of Skywalker. I think that's an excellent point, and what I wonder, and I don't know that it'll ever come out, is was it always Laura Dern in his script, in his treatment, or somewhere? Did he have it as Leia? And did the story group say no? Because they've, at least their story marketing PR wise, is that the third movie was always meant to be Leia's movie. So I'm not saying that Rian Johnson's choice wasn't always Laura Dern, but I think it would be very interesting to know, did he at some point...
I don't remember the name of the fucking character, I'm sorry. But at least I remember the
Admiral
actress.
Holdo.
Yeah.
Was it always Holdo or did he say it should be Leia, and they were like, no, we need Leia for the third movie?
But the thing is, like, he was trying, like, he was like actively trying to subvert expectations,
right.
which
lends itself to be probably Holdo was his choice.
No, but like, that, and like a lot of, I don't know, it's supposed to be a low point in an arc, like a 3-act story. The low point is going to be at the end of the second act or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was sort of doing an Empire, but sort of not. He was like committing to like crazy fucking bonkers shit, but then kind of not. And then and then the new one came out, and then Abrams was like, oh, well, let's just retcon everything that he did in this one.
Yeah. All right, so episode 9. You were about to say the things you liked about the Rise of Skywalker.
It was a movie. It was a movie. It was definitely, the special effects were good. You know it. But like, it just, everything seemed really rushed, and like, I think this is something I might be regurgitating from the Red Letter Media guys, but
I think you've already...
It was so rushed that whenever something happened that you were kind of taking pause, another thing was happening, so you've kind of forgot about that other fucking thing.
Right. Okay. I think that's fair. And I think to the point about regurgitating Red Letter Media or not, I think you already proved the point earlier in the argument. This is me putting on the teacher hat.
We're not arguing.
No. Argument in the sense that your thesis, you already gave evidence that your line of thinking is very much in line with their line of thinking. So even if you are saying something that they also said, I'm willing to say it's probably also a Steve thought. It's just they also said it.
And they may have articulated it a little bit better than I had.
Right.
So I want to hear what you liked about it.
Yeah.
And so full spoilers, whatever.
Yeah. Well, so I'll start with a note that I took down right after I left the theater. And that was, so my wife, my 2 kids, and my brother went together. We saw it in IMAX at the theater in Methuen, Massachusetts. One of my favorite places
we
to
were
go
there yesterday.
Because it's a great big old...
We weren't at the movie theater, but we were in Methuen.
Yeah, it's a great big old screen.
And we attempted to buy shoes.
At that mall or somewhere else?
Well, yeah, there's a famous footwear, and then we found some, but they didn't have my size. Then we looked it up on Amazon, and they had it for like $25 cheaper in my size.
Yeah.
So this is why retail is dead.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
I mean, as much as I want to support, well, I'm not that famous footwear. I'm really trying to fucking blow up their spot. But like, I'd like to shop more at like a store. But
I gotta say, like,
convenience has we have like I think it might just be our generation has ruined a lot of things, and I'm not talking about millennials. I'm talking about us Gen Xers, because we were so apathetic about whatever. We let Amazon fucking do whatever the fuck they wanted, and we didn't show up to elections, and then fucking Bush twice, and yeah.
Well, he didn't get he got elected by the Supreme Court the first time.
Well, if we had fucking showed up that first time, maybe that wouldn't have come to that.
Yeah.
Maybe Gore would have won another state and we wouldn't have had to worry about fucking Florida.
Yeah. But to the Amazon point, I think where I'm at right now is
and I didn't vote
if it's a fucking big box store, or like, I don't really care if Best Buy goes out of business. I don't want people who work at Best Buy to be unemployed, but I could care less about fucking Best Buy or Famous Footwear or any of those things except for the employees. It's like local bookstores or local artisans or things like that. If I can get a book at my local bookstore, I will do that, because I think they provide value to the community. Famous Footwear. The Famous Footwear does not provide any fucking value to the community. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, it provides jobs, so I guess that is a value. But otherwise, I could not care less.
But like the lowest echelon of jobs.
Yeah.
Being a retail associate, and it's weird because like I wanna buy video games from a retailer, and I suppose I could go to there's like a shop up in Tingsboro that like does use video games, so maybe I should go there. And there's one in Salem that I like. I got my Becky got me a copy of Mother 3 for my birthday, which is technically not official.
Okay.
They sell it there, and it's not like
not official. I was like, your birthday's not official?
No. The game isn't official. It's a fan translated copy of the game, and it's because Nintendo refuses to release it officially. So I feel like that's like, I think the argument, and I brought it up earlier, like the people that read the scanlations of One Piece as opposed to the official release.
Right.
The argument back in the day was that the official release was months, if not years behind. And so if you wanted to be up to date, the scanlations were basically your only choice.
Got it. Yeah.
But now that isn't the issue. That it's released simultaneously with the magazine in Japan, and the only reason why the scanlations come out maybe a day or two before is because somebody that works at a 7-Eleven in Japan gives the cop, because like it's a print magazine, like it has to get out a couple of days before, or else it's not going to be there for people to buy when they can buy it.
Right.
So somebody just says, here you go, guy.
Yeah.
Like some guy like making fucking dick money at 7-Eleven could possibly making like shit ton more by giving it to some guy that's going to scan it and translate it all over the world.
So yeah, it's
but what was my point?
Well, we had.
Oh yeah, the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the official release doesn't exist.
Right. So it's okay. Yeah.
So it's not okay, but it's.
Oh, you're not ripping off the original creators. They if the company won't give you,
I mean,
a legal way to buy something that you want.
The cart, it technically is the Japanese copy with the English patch. So I did pay money technically to the creators.
Right. I mean, so dumb, bad example, but there are movies in the Disney animated classics series, and every time
Song
I say
of the
this,
South.
Not Song of the South. Every time I bring it up, you say Song of the South. Song of the South is not one of the Disney animated classics. It never has been. At any rate, that are not available anywhere. And there was a point at which I decided, I was like, I want all of them. So I bought all the ones I could, and I pirated the ones they wouldn't sell me. And then when the ones they wouldn't sell me were available, I bought them.
Don't say things like that. I pirated Disney movies on a podcast.
What I just said, there was I forget which fucking one it was. Anyway, it wasn't available, so I got a copy. I found a copy out of the back of a truck. The moment they made it available for sale again on digital, I bought it.
Did you delete the?
Yeah, I deleted the old version.
Okay.
So
the copy of Song of the South that you have is.
I don't have a copy of Song of the South. God fucking damn it! All right, so we went and saw Star Wars, and I was really enjoying it. My kids were really enjoying it. My wife was really enjoying it. I think my brother said afterwards he enjoyed, but he hadn't had.
Your brother doesn't tend to hate movies too much.
Yeah, no. I've sort of come to that point myself, so it's hard for me to hate on something. I just finished my work at the MFA in creative writing residency, and I just bring that up because I have a degree in analyzing stories, and that's it's not the job I get paid the most for, but that is one of my primary jobs. Is I go into classrooms and analyze student stories and teach them how to analyze stories to make their own stories better. I'm pretty damn good at it, and I feel embarrassed for just paying myself a compliment. So
you should.
I'll go in, and one of the hallmarks of an enjoyable movie for me is that I can turn that part of my brain off, and Star Wars does that for me. So my favorite part of the experience, right? And so it's hard for me right now because I've only seen it once, and I haven't had the chance to revisit it. So the movie is very tied up in the experience at this point. We already said spoilers. So there's a moment near the end where Ben Solo, he's Ben Solo again, right? Because he's been redeemed. He tries to help Rey. He falls off a cliff. A lot of stuff happens, and then we see, in that classic cliche / trope, his hand sort of come back up into frame. I don't know, it's got to be at least 5-10 minutes later. It's been a while. And so that moment happens, and I had, before I was able to completely turn off the internet and avoid spoilers, I had heard rumors about how the ending was, and the ending might have been reshaped and recut and all this crap. So I knew that I didn't know that was coming, but I felt pretty, like 99% certain that was coming. So I wasn't surprised. But in front of me, about 2 rows in front of me, there was a kid who shouted at the top of his voice. He was like, "Yes!" Now I know that you're like, and I know people are sick of the argument. People who are our age or a little bit younger, or a little bit older, are sick of the argument that these movies are for kids. But I think they are movies for kids, or the kid in us. And that really proved it to me, because that kid, I don't know, maybe his parents didn't. I know my kids have seen the prequels. We've talked about that. Maybe that kid's parents never showed them the prequels, and this is the only series he's ever had. And so that kid sees Ben put his hand up there, and is just overjoyed. It's the moment for him. I don't know. It's hard. I'm hard pressed. I look back at Jedi, right, which was our original conclusion, and I go, is Jedi any more satisfying than this movie? And I go, no. I think Jedi is a far worse conclusion. In many aspects, there are great moments.
It's a very similar movie, but in the thing that I like more about Jedi, whereas I don't like about the Rise of Skywalker, is
I'm
basically there's it just lets like things breathe. Like
Jedi does, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's crazy fun action with the speeders through the trees and whatnot, and then
I think.
But there's also like the scenes with the Emperor and Darth Vader and Luke, that, like it's a lot of like, just ominous, and just like you can just sit with that for a little while, and then you're like, oh, your friends are all dead. Blah.
Right. I think that might be my complaint about Jedi, is that Jedi after Empire has always, to me, felt very anticlimactic, except for the scenes you just referenced. I just don't. I feel like the B story, which I get your point, is serving the purpose of being the breathing room from everything that's happening in the Emperor's throne room. I just think they could have made that B story be more interesting. I mean, Han's not on the fucking Falcon. Like, I feel to some extent that Harrison Ford is dialing it in, which of course we know because he wanted to die in Empire. He wanted him dead already.
Yeah.
But I remember when we tried to marathon them back when we were kids, and in like my teenage years, probably before the prequels came out, I decided that the reason was we were trying to watch 3 movies back to back, and I was just tired. And I think that was always probably part of it, trying to marathon it. But I think it was also like you get to Jedi and you're like, well, what?
Well, I think the expression is need to give them something to do, like because you have these characters, they need to do something, and so if they're still alive, so it's like we have to shut off the shield generator around the fucking planet, so we can blow up this Death Star too.
Yeah, but they could have given them more business.
I mean,
what we say on stage, you got to give them business.
If like, if Lucas had been like, oh, the guy that directed the last one,
Marquand, I think.
Yeah, like I think, or did he write and direct?
I think Lucas did the story. Somebody else did the script
for Jedi.
I
mean, there's like
Marquand directed.
Out of the 3 originals, it's the weakest of the 3.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it's definitely better than the Rise of Skywalker, just because, despite there being like all the major focus being those 3 characters,
right,
and then the eventual redemption of Anakin, is cool. Like that is great. And then there's just like, we need to figure out what the rest of this fucking movie is, but that being better than we need to go to this place, and then we have to go to this place because it's like a bunch of fetch quests in a fucking RPG that like you don't necessarily want to do, but it gets you to the end of the story.
Like that's really interesting. I was having a conversation with. I moderated a panel yesterday about the ways in which different forms of storytelling spill over, and as audience, as reader, as viewer, our appreciation of new forms of storytelling then affects our ability to appreciate other forms of storytelling. So when you said fetch, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about because I don't play video games. There's an element of that I think makes a movie-going experience very different than it would have been back in 77 or 80 or just as a side note. But so I think we could talk about Rise of Skywalker a whole bunch, but there was something in there that made me want, and also we've only got about 6 minutes left, and I wanted to talk about The Mandalorian.
Well, we can talk about it next week.
But there was something in there that you said that at least to transition briefly into maybe closing out with a conversation about The Mandalorian, it was about business and giving them something to do. Okay. Oh, yes. So I think one of the beauties of The Mandalorian, maybe I'm not even going to do any spoilers here. We'll leave spoilers for next time.
Yeah, let's do that.
So this is a structural thing. One of the things that I thought was great about The Mandalorian was that no episode was any longer, on the whole, than it needed to be. Mm-hmm. So one of the problems with putting something out theatrically is people expect, if it's a comedy, an hour and a half, probably not much more. If it's a drama, or action movie about 2 hours, and then if it goes too far one way or the other, you've got some explaining to do. And so Jedi, to your point, right? Like that stuff with the Emperor would be an awesome episode of a series, right? And even in like a couple years ago, before streaming services, they probably would have had to pad it out, right? But now with the way streaming services work, an episode can be however long it needs to be. And so I think one of the things that I liked about The Mandalorian, it's at least early, was this feeling that it was only as long as it needed to be. And that waned for me a little bit as time went on. I was spoilers of my reaction for next week. I didn't hate any of the ending, but I was kind of let down by the ending of the series. I was like, that's it. And
it's not going to be it.
Well, no. I mean, that's it for this. For this as a conclusion. To give some perspective, again, I think the experience plays a huge role these days, and probably always, in what we think about the actual thing we're experiencing. And so I watched the penultimate episode. Was it 8 episodes or 9 episodes?
It might have been 9.
So the second to last episode I watched.
We're on the penultimate lap.
Yeah,
Eddie Irvine.
I watched right before I went on vacation to Disney World. And then the last episode came out while I was in Disney World, and there wasn't a lot of time to sit down and watch anything, for reasons I can get into if we recap my vacation at some point.
There was definitely contact between the two cars. That is jokes for basically just Paul and Dan, and I don't know if they listen to any. I don't know if they listen anymore.
So I didn't see the last episode until I got back from vacation, and John, as much as he tried not to spoil it for me or whatever, in the fact that he was like, oh, I'll watch it with you. I'll watch it again with you. And his general positivity about it, I think maybe hyped me up a little bit too much about how good the last episode was going to be. And I was just like, it's a serviceable season finale. And I wonder if in hindsight I'll feel similar about it to at least like, let's not talk about the last season of Game of Thrones. That's a whole other thing. But the way Game of Thrones' pattern was, like, the big episode would be the second to last episode, and then the last episode would always be kind of just wrapping up and preparing you for whatever was next. So maybe Mandalorian, I'll feel similar, that this was kind of the wrap-up episode, and when we get to season 2. I don't know, do you have any overall thoughts?
I don't know. It was refreshing. It was nice to have a Star Wars story that's in the Star Wars universe. And I think some of the cartoons are good, but I've never really watched them. Yeah. But like that are in the universe, right. And are completely unrelated to characters that we know.
Yeah, the Skywalker character.
Yeah. So basically, we got this guy. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's Boba Fett," but it's not.
It's not. Yeah, but I understand that
there's a creed of people that are called Mandalorians, and,
right.
And that this is they.
I would hope that the people who think this is Boba Fett would realize it's not Boba Fett once they watch an episode.
Yeah, I mean, like, but the thing is, like, remember how I was saying, like, in Jedi, let things sit, like, you know, there's a like the first part of the first episode when he's going into that bar, like he doesn't fucking, like, you have your main character that's not fucking saying anything, and you're like, but you're like, wow, this is cool, like, and like
it's a Western. I mean,
you can have, but like you can have like a scene. And it doesn't have to be like giant space fight. Yeah, it's just guys beating the shit out of each other in a bar. That could be more fun to watch than just, pew pew space battle.
I think what's interesting, Jon Favreau is the showrunner. I don't know how many episodes he wrote. He didn't direct any this season. I
thought he did. I thought there was a couple that said directed by Jon Favreau.
I thought maybe I have to go back. I thought he didn't direct any, but he was gonna direct some next time. At any rate, I feel like Jon Favreau. I can go down a whole Disney rabbit hole in terms of how they're thinking, which is actually a Pixar rabbit hole, because Pixar kind of took over everything Disney. Anyway, how Disney affects these properties they've bought. And I feel like Lucasfilm maybe made the wrong decisions overall in terms of what they wanted out of this franchise and what they thought they wanted. So they go out and they hire Rian Johnson, right? Because they kind of they think they want to replicate the experience of Empire,
right?
But what they and even Abrams to a certain extent, they think they want to do this new thing. They saw what Abrams did with Star Trek.
He's not a terrific writer. He's an okay interpreter as a director. Like if someone writes something good, he can put it on film.
Right. But where Favreau I think excels is that Favreau has the right amount of reverence,
right,
while also knowing that he has to take it in a different direction. And he's working with I think the guy's name is Dave Filoni, and he is has been the head of the cartoons, and he also seems to have the right amount of reverence, but also knows we want to take it in a new direction. And I feel like if they'd just settled on those two guys sooner, then they might have avoided. I think it's still true that thing you said, Star Wars fans don't like Star Wars very much.
Right.
But I think they could have avoided some of what is happening in the fandom by going to somebody like Favreau earlier, who was going to do something like The Mandalorian, which is, it feels like Star Wars, but he knows he's got to do something slightly different.
Yeah, and there's I mean, it's not hit you over the head, but there's a good amount of humor in there.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't really a spoiler, but
the
like
child.
Yeah, but like the little things here and there, like the stormtroopers just like shooting the breeze, like, and just fucking like and I think. I mean, this is also not a huge spoiler, but like when I think it was closer to the end of the series when like there's like the two and they set up a can very close to where they are, and both of them just fail to hit it with their fucking blasters, and that's great. Like it doesn't need to be like super serious and be like, oh, you're a fucking Jedi, you know, like.
Well, that was the other, and we can probably wrap up there. That was the other pleasing thing for me about the series, was that it was not, and I don't know that I expected Disney to do this, but it was not like they were trying to Game of Thrones or Stranger Things or whatever Star Wars. They just wanted to tell a long-form Star Wars story in live action. They weren't trying to make it edgy or anything like it. It is slightly edgier, right? Because it's a Mandalorian, not a Jedi,
and it's a bounty hunter. I think like,
but it
sort of has like it's sort of Cowboy Bebop feel, for those people that were into anime at the turn of the century.
Yeah, it is not, but it's not edgy for the sake of being edgy. It's edgy because it's slightly edgy because the material deserves it being slightly edgy.
Right.
I don't want to say edge anymore.
Space edge.
Space edge. You can find the lack of show notes for this episode.
I don't care if you write any show notes. Right? It's just like Steve and Chris talk about stuff.
At horribly
hilarity ensues.
At horriblyofftopic.com/258. Hey, this I feel like we have not had, you've mentioned this before, I'm going to mention it now. We have not had an email in a very long time. I feel like
we're going to have to threaten people again?
I was going to say, I feel like we've said enough stuff here that somebody's got to email something to sort of say either, hey, Chris, you should have argued more. Steve, you should have made Chris say more and defend. Or
look,
I don't know.
If you like the movie, I'm not going to fucking rip you apart about it. It's a flawed film, in the context of when you saw it with your family. You love your family, so I love my wife, but. We both didn't like it, but your family liked it, so you maybe absorb some of that.
What I'm saying is, I want the listeners to get mad. I want that, or not mad.
You have to get mad, damn it.
And write us an email to hot@clarkwoods.com or hot@horriblyofftopic.com, and we'll read it on the show. And we won't have to come up with something to talk about next. I mean, we've got the holidays, we got The Mandalorian. We got my vacation.
We got 2020 is fast upon us, and
hindsight, baby.
It's 70 degrees outside in fucking January in New England.
70 degrees out. Do you know where your children are? That's terrible.
Sure.
I'm a hang myself with my own.
Do you want me to try to say something funny?
No. I mean, you can. Well, go ahead. Give it your best shot.
You know what? I don't feel like it.